Hello guys, Ivan here, and in this video we are going to take a look at the AMG factory in Affalterbach in Germany, the AMG HQ. We will see the engine production of the V8 and also the new 4-cylinder, and we will also meet the legendary engine builder Michael Kubler. So special thanks to Mercedes-AMG for having me in Affalterbach and for the special opportunity to see how the engines are handcrafted. So before we start, don't forget to like this video, comment down below what's your favorite AMG engine, and also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are notified for all new videos.
When in 2014 the GT sports car was presented, actually AMG came up with a brand new 4-liter V8 bi-turbo, and from then on every other car with a 4-liter bi-turbo was a version of that sports car engine. So the main specialties are that AMG has put the turbos inside, except for outside, where you will find them on normal V8 engines that are turbocharged, or V6, or V10, or V12. So the main reason for doing that is, you will later on see, when you see a completed engine, it's rather compact. I mean, you need to fit it in a GLC engine compartment, a C63 engine compartment, or when it's rather compact in a GT, you can actually put it very far behind the front axle. So the second thing is you get a very quick response of the turbos. Okay? So normally intake is here, outlet is here, AMG inverted it, and because the turbos are getting very hot, this is the reason why it's called hot inner V. The GLE has an internal starter generator, that's true. For the first time coupled with a V8 with that one. There are some smaller differences between the GT sports car engine and all the other 4-liter V8s. This is the oil supply for the GT, which is a dry sump, and all the other engines have a normal oil pan. So underneath this part here is much different.
You can even see the turbos when they are hot.
Right, and this is the compressor side, so this is the cold side, and if you turn around, if you go to the other side, you can see the turbine wheel. So this one is spinning at 185,000 RPM at full swing. One's the hammer engine, that's a version of a Mercedes engine, but heavily tuned back in the 80s. That one is a version of a Mercedes engine. That's the M113K, that's the compressor engine that you know from SL55 or E55. So that was already a lot of engineering involved in-house. And that one is a 6.2-liter V8 naturally aspirated that you found in the SLS and the old C63. So that was the first engine that AMG completely developed by themselves. History, basically, is when you go back to where it starts in 1984, starting with a naturally aspirated engine at 6 liters. So back then, engines weren't turbocharged, really. So you had to have huge engines. And if you actually move on, how things evolved, compressor, more torque, a lot more power than a naturally aspirated engine. And then if we talk about current engines, they're all turbocharged. This is when it was released, the most efficient V8 on the planet. That one's the strongest 4-cylinder on the planet. So a lot of record holders. And also if you look at the number of prices AMG has ever won, actually you can see the company has been successful over a number of years.
So this is the V8 production. And you will see upstairs a 4-cylinder as well, handcrafted engine. This is a V8 assembly line. So the preparation for the new engine starts here. These are the engine parts for the assembly, right?
You do get pistons.
Okay.
And you do get con rods. This gentleman, he connects piston and con rod to a complete set. He is his work, so to say. He delivers a complete set of pistons. And every mechanic just grabs the set and then mounts them in the engine. Left corner, and then move with their car and their engine through the building.
Okay.
So it's a bit like shopping in a supermarket. You have the card, and that's it. So on every station you stop and you perform a certain number of things, like here, rail, fuel pump, and so on and so on. Sometimes you need devices like this in order to hold something down, hold something down. But as you can see, it pretty much looks already like an engine. So the further you move through the building, the more advanced your engine is. Wofür effektiv? Look at him. What he's doing right now is he's walking down the bolts for the ejector rail. If you have a look at that monitor up there, you can see it's bolted down with a specific amount of torque. Now when he's finished and the torque on this specific bolt is correct, the line appears green. Okay? So that's a continuous check during production, and everything he does is he's now putting on the turbos.
So installation of the turbos.
He's preparing it actually.
Oh, okay.
Because we came from, let's say, the opposite side. We are just at the other end of the hall compared with where everything begins.
So we're almost at the end.
This is right at the middle.
Middle,
This
okay.
is 50%.
50%.
This is a lot of two blocks here.
Stage 1, okay.
This is stage 1.
The beginning of the production.
You take out the new block and attach it to the car. Okay, so once you've connected your new block with your car, you take the car to station number 2 and you start. And you know, productions are very easy to comprehend because you can just look at the shelves and you know exactly what's done there. Okay? So station 1 is putting in the crankshaft. And then a little later putting in the pistons, then putting on the cylinder heads, then putting on the rail, then putting on the turbo, and so on. So because we're approaching the end of the first shift, the line is almost empty. Okay, so most of the activities are over there. And you can already tell what's happening at the very end. As a mechanic, disconnect your engine from the car. You hand it over to that belt drive, and then your engine goes around the corner to be tested. The very last thing is you fill in the engine oil. Okay. So that's what's happening right now. And then if you look at him, he just completed his engine, disconnected it, and now for him it's time for station number 1. So he is picking up a new block and he starts working again. The test bench is behind it. So this is the belt drive and it's moving over to the test bench.
Okay.
Now we can see the test bench in a minute. implementation. So this is a test bench. When it's in operation, it fully tests the engine, everything.
Okay.
Mechanically, electronically, electrically. So it's a thorough test. This is fully built up engine.
Turbos, okay.
And you can see the hot section. So this is where exhaust gas goes through.
Exhaust gas leaves. Okay. Turbine.
And the compressor on the other side. Compressing all the air.
Okay. Compressing the air and turbine starts to spin. Okay.
For the versions with power stage 2 for E-Class or S-Class or GT4-door or G63, and there is the normal power version for C63, GLC63, and also
So this is for the C-Class and GLC.
and also the GT Sports Car version. So the 476 horsepower for a GT, or the 522 for a GTS. The GTC is also built here, so all sports car. All the sports car engines, including GTR. This is a direct injection engine.
Yes.
You don't want to have too much torsion on the block, so the flow step is always more rigid. On the other hand, this one has a new fast because the internal pressures are much higher than on the previous engine. Older engines, when you ignite, the internal compression in the cylinder was 70, 80, 90 bars. Okay? When you ignite here, very high compression ratio is 130 bars. So you need a different alloy.
Almost twice as much.
The block is much, much stronger.
Okay.
And much heavier, but also stiff line is exactly the same as here. So you've got one man, one mechanic, they pick up a new block, they walk along the line, and as you can see, he starts with a new engine, and you can see on the right hand side, he actually just finished an engine, and this is the way it goes. This is the circulation.
And these marks?
They are just indicating what, because there are different versions of engine blocks.
Okay.
Depending on the engine type. So that one's going into C63, that one's GLC, this one is C63. The concept of the block itself is just identical.
So you can have the GT engine in the C-Class, basically. Very, very similar engine.
No, because you have to find a place for the oil supply because it's a dry farm.
But actually the construction is very similar.
But there is no room. The C-Class is much smaller. It's narrower, and if you look at the GT engine compartment, it's huge. It's really deep. And if you look on where the engine oil supply is, on the GT is on the driver's side, but next to the engine. And simply in a C-Class, you won't have the space for it.
But the DNA of the engine is very similar. That's what I mean.
Yeah, of course. So if you drive a C63, you can be proud that you drive an engine similar to the one in the GTR.